Welcome to ADHD Mums. Have you ever stood at an airport gate with your family, watching random destinations flash past you on the screen and thought to yourself, I could just disappear? No dramatic exit, just a boarding pass and some peace and quiet. If you're burnt out and you're still showing up, this is where we talk about it. I'm Jane, let's get into it. Last week, I did something unheard of. I was in a cafe. I was on my own. The kids were at school. My husband was at work. I'd done the drop-off and I had an hour before a podcast interview. I was starving and I thought, I'm going to go over to the cafe and get something to eat. Immediately, I thought, well, I'll get takeaway. And then I thought, why can't I eat off plates with knives like a real person? Why am I getting it in a cardboard box and then spilling it all over myself? Why don't I just sit down and eat it? It was a light bulb moment. I sat down and I realized it's table service. They're going to come over to me. The waiter came over and he said, hey, what can I get you? And I sat there. I stared blankly at him for at least 6 seconds because I genuinely did not know what to order. I'd already looked at the menu blankly. Now, the menu was not overwhelming. It wasn't like I couldn't decide between two really good things. It was I don't actually know what I like way. I was trying to work it out. I was like, eggs Betty. I used to eat that like 20 years ago. I always liked that. Oh, smashed avocado. I've eaten that before. Then I was like, chia pudding. Oh, pancakes. I don't know. How far should I go? But none of it was even really exciting me. I couldn't even connect with what I wanted. I was like, do I like acai? I don't know. However, what I could do is I could connect every single thing on that menu to what one of my kids would eat, what my husband would order, what's quick, what I ordered last time, so I don't have to think. But actually, what I wanted with a whole hour, just me, sitting alone in a cafe. I'm not on any calorie restriction. I could eat whatever I wanted to eat if I wanted to. I genuinely could not tell the waiter what I wanted. I ended up ordering poached eggs on toast with bacon because that's what my husband always orders. And so that felt familiar. But when they brought them out, I didn't even know if I wanted to eat it. I was fully having an identity crisis whilst sitting at a cafe in a moment that was supposed to be happy and fun. And I felt so overwhelmed. And as the bacon and the eggs came out, I thought, my husband would love this. But I realized that wasn't even what I wanted. I don't know why I've been eating it. But I ate it anyway because I didn't know what else to do. The dopamine system that drives preference. So I want this, I don't want that. All those preferences work very different for an ADHD brain than a neurotypical brain. And a lot of us have spent 30, 40 years, however long it is, overriding what you want to meet what other people need. That system doesn't just go quiet, it stops. It was one of the first times that I stopped to ask what I wanted and realized that there was nobody home. And this is really where season 4 kicks off. Because I'm nearly 40, I have 3 kids, I run a podcast, I've built a career, an identity, a household, on knowing what everyone else needs and delivering it. And in that cafe with that waiter standing there politely, and the fact he was nice to me made it even more overwhelming. I just couldn't access the part of my brain that even knew what I wanted. What do I want? I have no idea. What do I want to do for my 40th this year? So many people ask me. I have no idea. I just want it to not happen so I don't have to decide because I don't know. What would I order from a menu if I wasn't ordering around other people's preferences? If I didn't have to split up every meal and then take what everyone didn't want from every meal and then put it on my plate and eat that, who would I be? Because that's what I do. A 40-year-old woman should be able to order off a menu and know what she likes. And a lot of you are probably nodding right now and you're probably recognizing yourself in it. Because a lot of us are trying to remember who we were before we became mums. Season 3 was supposed to be about strategy. We did do strategy, but underneath the strategy, I was discovering that strategy isn't actually the work. The strategy is what you do to keep functioning while the actual work is happening underneath. And the actual work is who you are when you stop being the personal assistant for everyone in your life. I don't just mean if you have a partner or not. I don't just mean for your kids or for their teachers or for other school mums. What about the WhatsApp groups, the extended family? For my friends who have built a friendship around the version of me who helps them, organizes things, does things for everybody, for the work that I've taken on because someone had to do it, for the volunteer roles, for the can you just requests that I get in my inbox every day. I have been at service to people in every relationship in my life. Some of you are doing it for parents. Some of you are doing it for siblings who can't function without you. Some of you might have been doing this role for friends whose lives that you've been quietly holding together. Some of you might have ex-partners that you're still helping in this way, work colleagues who escalate to you because they know that you'll handle it. The service role is the same role. It's just a different client depending on whose life you're in. And it's not always paid. But the overfunctioning that so many of us have developed to survive being undiagnosed ADHD girls, the thing that we trained ourselves into when we were 5, 6, 8, 13, has become, for a lot of us, the operating system of our entire adult life. But we didn't choose to be in service necessarily. It might have been the safest available option for a kid who needed to be useful to stay regulated. But now a lot of us are 40 or 50 or 30, whatever we are. The operating system is still running. And not only that, a lot of us have got daughters, and I see my daughter starting to do it too. And we are running it for everyone, everywhere, all at once. The brain organizes identity as a story, past, present, future, and it's stitched together into something coherent. But when a diagnosis arrives at 40 or 30, whenever it is, that breaks. You don't just add a chapter at the end of the storybook going, oh, and then I had ADHD. A lot of us are driven. We have a need, a desire to rewrite the whole book retrospectively. The reason the cafe moment, and you'll have your own moment that will be similar. But that moment hit me so hard because in that 6 seconds that I blankly stared at that waiter, and I think he wondered whether I was going to cry because my whole brain went through a crisis in that moment. The story that I've been telling myself for nearly 40 years just snapped. And nobody talks about what happens when it does. And that's what we're talking about this season. I want to talk to you about the pushback because the pushback is the part that nobody really warns you about. For a lot of us, when we are diagnosed with ADHD or autism or other neurodiversities, we start to rewrite the book when you start to stop being in service to others. And you start small. You start with one small thing. You start with, I'm not going to do this today. The people in your life will start to notice. And it's not always positive. Some of them will notice and support you. Open the fridge for the first time in 15 years and figure out dinner. Some of them will ask, what do you need? Some of them don't. Some of them push back on the pushback. Some of them get confused. Some of them are hurt. Some of them say things like, you've changed, or you used to do this, this, and this, and I liked that about you. Or what's gotten into you? Why won't you just do that now? Some ADHD mums, for example, say, I'm not going to go to monthly brunch with my mother-in-law anymore. I don't want to go. I've gone for the last 5 years. If you, my partner, want to go and see your mother, you can, but I'm not coming every time. When you start to challenge things like this, people notice. Some of them won't say anything at all, but they'll just stop calling you. Some people will say, wow, you've become more ADHD or more autistic, or it's only been negative since you found out this diagnosis. See what I mean? Labels aren't very good. If you have built your entire life around a version of you who is always available, always on, always anticipating, smoothing the edges, saying yes before they've even finished asking. When you stop being her, you have to renegotiate every single relationship that she has built. Every single one. Because the mask has become your identity. Sometimes the mask is so good, we've worn it for so long, it feels like it's the identity. And to other people, it is your identity. Every relationship in your life could be calibrated to a masked version of you. The people who love you might love the performance that you've been maintaining at enormous cost. And maybe now the performance is ending, but nobody's got the memo. Maybe your marriage, if you're married, maybe your friendships, work, family, kids. Maybe they are expecting the version of you that's at service to them because that's the only version of you they've seen. And that's the collision. And the collision is messy. It's not a triumph. It's not that you say no, you put up some boundaries and your life improved or got better. What is more realistic is I said no, and now I have to sit with the discomfort of having said no to someone who didn't expect me to, who expected me to do it without question, who maybe has built their relationship with you around your yeses. And you have to sit with how that feels to say no. The pushback isn't disloyalty, but it might be that the operating system, the good girl conditioning, that little girl inside you, maybe they are starting to reject the operating system that they've been on. Now, season 4 is not a self-help season. We're not lighting any fucking candles. We're not buying journals and gratitude, and we're not doing a morning reflection and spending an hour and getting up before everyone else does and saying that that's going to fix it. Because I've seen the people that do that, and I don't know where their kids are. But if you have ADHD kids, it's going to be very difficult to do a morning routine and journal in the morning. None of the self-care and gratitude journaling and affirmations touch the question of why you are in service to so many people and why so many of us sit back in a moment where we could choose something different and we don't know, so we do the washing. This isn't a divorce season. I see that get misread the moment that we talk about women pushing back. I'm not leaving my marriage. I'm deeply in love with my husband. This is not about severing relationships and calling them toxic and getting rid of your in-laws and all of your friends and starting again. The work isn't to leave. The work isn't to lock people out. The work is to maintain the relationships, particularly if you love these people, but to just stop being in service, just stop being the personal assistant in the life that you've already built, and how you can exist in that life as being a person with wants and needs who listens to them instead of just catering to others. This isn't a bag out the partners season, but this season is about collision and the conflict. The first step, the internal conflict, and second step, the external conflict when we start to push back on others around us. This is not a fix-it season. This is not a just do these 5 steps and pay $29 and then I'll send you the answer. I don't know what any of the answers are. This is a harder, slower, less marketable, trust me, work of figuring out who you are in the operating system that you built your whole life. It's the work of remembering what you like, who you are. It's the work of figuring out who to say no to and when. It's the work of finding out what you're actually interested in when the question stops being, what do my kids need? And starts being, what do I want? It's the work of being okay with the fact that the woman who pushes back is different to the woman that you were. I've been mapping this. I believe, Jane's version, there are 5 stages. Now, these 5 stages are kind of like a renovation that you didn't plan. Maybe you moved into the house decades ago. The house worked. It seemed pretty good. There were a few cracks in the ceiling. You did paint over them, kind of. The wiring, bit dodgy, but, you've worked around. The door that didn't close properly, it doesn't need to close properly. Maybe something broke. Maybe a tradie came around to fix something and told you the foundations were gone. Maybe you've started pulling up the floorboards just to see what's under there if you did renovate. Maybe you started getting quotes and you figured out that the roof's no good and you're going to have to start a renovation. Here you are, mid-reno, walls open, no idea what room you're putting where. You haven't moved out, you're in there. The people in your life are in there living too. And there are 5 stages. Stage 1 is the cost, the years you've been living in the house, painting over the cracks, the years that you've spent being the high-functioning ADHD girl who couldn't possibly have ADHD. The operating system was running and you thought, that's just who I am. Stage 2, the recognition. The tradie says, foundations are gone, mate. You read about ADHD in women, you get diagnosed. Your kid gets diagnosed. Maybe perimenopause hits too, and you think, fuck, it's shit to be a woman. Something might have shifted, and then you start to see what you've been carrying. Relief and grief at the same time. Stage 3, pushback. The first quiet no. The cafe moment. The I don't know what I want. The internal hang on a second, I don't know. The moment when the operating system fails, but you don't know who you are because you don't have another one. And stage 4, the collision, the conflict. Maybe the neighbours start noticing the reno. The skip bin's out the front. Everyone has an opinion. There's too much noise. They don't want you doing it. It's over budget. No. You're overcapitalising. And you don't even know what you want to do with the house. Stage 5, the repair. The walls are open, but you don't know what room is going where. You haven't moved out and you're starting to realise, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't really understand stage 5 yet because I'm back in stage 3. I'm still pulling up the floorboards, trying to figure out where we're going with this. But I do want to tell you what I do know is coming this season, because we are going to have to find out what season 4 has as we go. What I do know is that Dr. Sunita Chelva is coming back. She's the one who diagnosed me with perimenopause mid-podcast episode last season. She's seen this from the clinical side. What happens in our bodies when the operating system can't run? We're going to do a mini-series on the pushback. What does it feel like in your own body? Why is it so hard to say no? What is happening neurologically when you try to redistribute the load that you've been carrying for 30 years. The conversations, the conflict, the relationships that don't shift, or the relationships that do shift. What works, what doesn't as we start to rebuild. Who am I if I'm not burnt out? What does self-regulated look like? When people say, how are you? And I say good, thanks. Am I good? Is this what good feels like? Because so many of us accept a chronic state of unhappiness or anxiety as mum life. What is it? What do I do when I'm not anticipating what everyone else wants? What do I order off a menu if I'm not ordering for 4 other people and all of their preferences and then eating what no one else wants? I don't have the answers. I'm asking them with you, and that is what season 4 is going to be about. What I do know is that the ADHD mums community is a win. That I've started looking sideways at the women in their cars at school pickup because I think they are the actual people that have the answers. I've stopped looking to politicians and clinicians necessarily for the answers, and I've started to just have discussions with women that I know. There is so much wisdom within our own community. And this season 4 is for the women who are tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting for a therapist, a clinician, a politician to give me what I need. I'm tired of waiting for the systems to actually see us. I'm tired of waiting for the right specialist, the right medication, the right combination of strategies. And I'm tired of waiting for someone else to give me permission to stop being the one who can do everything. This season 4 is for the women who are starting to realize that the work isn't to wait for things to get easier. Wait for the system to change. Wait for inclusion to come. Wait for the school system to catch up. Maybe the work is to stop being the version of yourself that made it possible for everyone else to stay this fucking comfortable. Because we aren't difficult, but maybe we're done being at service to other people. Today we start season 4. I'm not your guide. I'm the woman next to you at pickup going, this is fucked. How do you feel? We are in this together. Thank God. What I would love is I would love you to send me some WhatsApps. I've got my WhatsApp link open on the show notes. I'd love some questions. I'd love some feedback, guidance. How do you feel? Am I on the right track or am I losing my shit? I don't fucking know anymore. What I do know is that I'm in a state of shredding. I just said I was in a state of shredding. My husband's a PT and he always talks about shredding and cutting. And you shred your body fat and then you reveal your amazing body underneath. I don't have an amazing body underneath. I mean more like I'm my son's lizard. He has a bearded dragon. And every now and again, his bearded dragon sheds some skin. I'm shedding my skin this season. I am excited and I want something different. I'm using my daughter as motivation. I don't want my daughter to have the same operating system that I have. I don't want the ADHD girls or any girl who are growing up now to have the same operating system that we had. I want something better and different for them. Who's with me? We are going to kick off season 4 today. Thank you so much for listening and being here with me.